Welcome on in, everybody, here to the Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. Nathan King, joined here with Jason Caldwell. This is not auburnundercover.com currently because our site is down right now as part of the Amazon web service outage. And so we thought, while we're waiting and can't necessarily put any stories up from Hugh Freeze, we'd come outside here at the Waltos Football Performance Center and talk about it. And Hugh Freeze was up on the podium today, standing for the first time this season instead of sitting down. And Jason, of course, he recognizes that there's a lot of pressure building right now on this team to try to deliver, and they head into a very, very interesting game week against an Arkansas team where, and as Hugh Freeze mentioned it, the teams they've lost to so far, 4 straight, they're 25-3. They're a bunch of really good teams. Yeah. This is your first departure from that because Arkansas has fired their coach and they're not very good.
Maybe the best offense you faced out of that.
And that's the other part of it that's really interesting. Yeah, you're going to be facing Bobby Petrino, who can definitely put up some points.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And so you start thinking about, okay, what does that look like? How does that look now for Auburn moving forward? And look, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is it does not appear there's going to be a quarterback change. Hugh Freeze said, look, the expectation is that Jackson Arnold will be the starter, but he said, look, him and Ashton Daniels will be the two guys this week that get a heavy dose of work and obviously a lot of look as Auburn gets ready for Arkansas.
Yeah, that's the main change this week. Now, he has hinted the last couple weeks that Ashton Daniels was ready for that, but he's right in saying that Jackson Arnold has started. I mean, Auburn has scored on their first drive. His first half numbers have been pretty solid. Really, his numbers have been okay for the most part. It just goes back to making those critical plays in critical moments, and that's what makes this such an interesting dynamic right now, Jason, is I'm not sure, and Arkansas's defense is not very good at all, and so I'm not sure we're going to reach a point. We haven't, at least our eyes have not been trained yet to go out there and expect Jackson Arnold to just be bad. I think he's going to go out there and perform well again. It's, can you do it when it really matters?
Because that's the thing, like, can you get started? Yes. Can you make some plays? Yes. Can you make plays in crunch time? We haven't seen that yet. And you may do it this week against Arkansas because everybody's made plays against them in every situation defensively because they've been pretty bad on that side of the ball. But can you do that in this game where you may have to score? Hey, Auburn hasn't given up points in the league. You may have to score 27-30 this week. Who knows? Now Auburn's defense may come out and play well again, but you're going to have to make some plays in crunch times. And Jackson Arnold has not done that to this point. Should they have made some other plays earlier in the game? Yes.
Sure.
A couple of drops, a couple of plays here or there, but really interesting. I understand the logic, but for me it would be interesting to see, okay, what happens and how quickly do you move Saturday if things aren't going well? That's always I don't know. It's a what if. It is. 100%.
Yeah, it's a what if, and if things trend that way again and there's another, you're missing something on offense, you maybe would have wondered what it would have been like to go to a guy like Ashton Daniels. But, the coaches will figure that out this week. And that's what Hugh Freeze talked about today. He said, again, now he did not name him the starter, and I don't think he's going to do that until Saturday, but they will go day by day. So that is the biggest change here, is that we would expect Ashton Daniels to start to get some first-team reps. And it makes sense, I think this would be different if the backup was somebody without so much experience.
Correct.
Now you put yourself in a little bit easier of a situation where you can throw in a two-year Power 4 starter like Ashton Daniels. The other big personnel thing on offense, Jason, is unfortunately, and this is now the second time in as many weeks, Auburn loses a team captain. Now, Damari Alston's obviously no longer on the team, but Connor Lew will no longer be on the field. Other than the fact that people believe he's a high-round draft talent, just the gravity that he brings as a leader for them on the field is just, it's really difficult to lose that guy.
It is. And it's not just leadership, it's not his presence, all those things. Hey, the line of scrimmage, making the calls, doing those things, you depend on that guy to do so much of the mental work, the mental side of things for an offensive line. And so you start looking at it going, okay, now that's going to go to a kid that's 17 years old that should still be in high school. Now, Kel Ellis got some run at Oklahoma. He played the entire second half Saturday. So that's a great lesson for him now as you get prepared for a defense this week. He'll have a chance to work with the first team. I thought it was really interesting. The other part of this one today, offensive line, piggybacking onto that, was it sure sounds like that Tutall is going to be starting at right tackle and Mason Murphy maybe inside at center. Maybe you switch those guys
guard,
up. Maybe a guard. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's going to be some, but it sounded like a little bit more Tutall at right tackle this week. So there's going to be some changes on the offensive line. Obviously, Mikael Ellis is a guy that's going to be, it sounds like getting the start at center.
We have wondered the last couple weeks, like, with them needing to be better on offense, whether there would be personnel changes along the offensive line. I wonder if this is the push they needed when there is a major injury, a major change at a major position to start looking at some different combinations. I mean, I was super impressed. I know he had some high snaps, but I was super impressed with what Cale Ellis
really good.
did, particularly in run blocking. He threw a really nice block on the inside as soon as he got in there, and I believe Jeremiah Cobb had a really big run. And then you see what those other guys can do. Mason Murphy apparently has some experience playing center. We know that Tutal has experience at tackle, and so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. And it continues, Jason, at this point in the season as you're Auburn, as you're trying to salvage things. You need those young guys like Cale Ellis. You asked about the defensive players, the young guys on that side of the ball, and Philip asked about the defense. You make sure that they don't kind of just lie down as the season starts to go the way you don't want it to. I hope people don't perceive if Arkansas goes and scores 38 points like they've been doing on most people or more. I hope people don't just necessarily perceive that, the defense has quit. Because this is a group, we know the personalities of these guys. They're not going to do that.
No, they're not going to do that. And again, I think as you look at this, to me, this is the most complete offense Auburn will have faced this season. I think you look at teams, Georgia. Now, Georgia's offense obviously pretty good. They just torched Ole Miss pretty good. But I think you look at the dynamic of it, and Bobby Petrino, who I think is the best play caller that I've ever covered here at Auburn in 27 years, you're going to have some difficulties with Taylor Green and doing the things they do on offense. So, yes, I don't think there's any correlation between that. This is a group of young defensive guys, and those guys are trying to set the standard for not only the rest of this season, but for seasons to come. So I don't see any backing off from that defense.
I thought Champ Anthony put it really well after the game on Saturday. He said, when you're on defense, your tape is your DNA, and if you start laying down at some point in the season, not only, obviously everybody's trying to make it the NFL, but nowadays in the portal world, if you want to go somewhere, people are going to look at that.
It matters that you think about the NFL because that's the same thing. It's always been that mentality going, man, if I want to go be a free agent somewhere, then I've got to put stuff on tape.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way now in college football. Like, you want to go out there and put up reps that not only for Auburn, right? Because the thing, you go lay down this year at the end of the season, and then Auburn comes back and goes, well, look, hey, you didn't do anything. You quit on us. Why should we give you? Other teams going to do the same thing. So there's a lot of incentive for these guys to continue to grind it out this season. Feels like a lot different than it was maybe 20 years ago.
You mentioned Bobby Petrino. I mean, it's just an interesting coaching situation you've got going on this week. I think it's not far-fetched to say he is coaching for. He's definitely doing a job interview over there. Like, he is coaching to try to get that role there at Arkansas. So every game means a lot to him. On the flip side of things, Hugh Freeze talked about it today, and he said, he said he hasn't spoken to John Cohen since the game on Saturday. There's been some votes of confidence around the country at different struggling programs, and he kind of joked and said, well, that'd be nice because, and as he said, they continue to believe they are the right staff for the job. But regardless of how people feel about how this season's going, about how Hugh Freeze has been coaching, biggest thing he can do is go out there on Saturday and take advantage of maybe an opponent that isn't as good as the ones you've been playing and try to look a lot better on offense, try to get a win. That's all you can do.
Absolutely. Nothing else you can do. And so starts this week, prep. They've already had Monday practice. Going to be an important week for them with a new center, some shifting parts maybe on the offensive line, a couple of quarterbacks probably sharing first-team reps for maybe the first time since camp.
Sure.
That'll be a little bit different this week. So see how this team responds. So they've responded. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. This is another opportunity to do that on Saturday.
There's no question they've responded. Hugh Freeze talked about today. He's like, the energy. Georgia, you kind of laid down after, not laid down, but you were deflated after the Jackson Arnold fumble.
It felt much different.
You never sensed that. It was just they just couldn't get over the hump and make those plays. And so, never boring, never a boring week here in the world of Auburn football. Never boring over at Auburn Undercover, as Christian tried to show us during the show. I think that it's shaky. Maybe the site isn't back up, so it's a good thing we decided to report. Hopefully soon. So we'll see you guys over at auburnundercover.com. Hopefully here on Monday, but we appreciate y'all joining us here on YouTube. For Jason and Patrick behind the camera, we'll talk to y'all soon.